Welkom by hierdie week se Agri Monitor en hier gesels ons landbou. In hierdie week se program het ons nou gaan kyk. Eers begin ons by die Oudtshoorn Wildsfees. Ons gaan 'n bietjie terug in die jaar en ons kuier by Johan Steenkamp van Case IH en hy het by die Wildsfees vir ons deur die verskillende trekkers wat hulle daarso het gevat en hulle voermasjien gewys daarso wat vir my baie interessant was. Dan op die tema van back and closure wat baie groot is op die oomblik en veral in Suid-Afrika, gaan ons verder kyk na die tweede gedeelte van Dr. Emmanuel Hikufe van die veeartsenydienste van die staat se toespraak tydens die Agri Outlook Conference, waar hy gepraat het oor BKS en hoe ons dit dan beter kan beheer. En dan ook verder op die onderwerp van biosekuriteit wat hand in hand loop met BKS, gaan ons aan met die tweede gedeelte van Duncan Stevenson sy toespraak wat hy gemaak het tydens die Landbou-Unie se varkprodusentedag. Hy praat oor biosekuriteit op varkplase, maar hierdie riglyne kan ook geld vir enige beesboer of kleinveeboer wat sy veld wil beskerm, sy plaas wil beskerm teen siektes wat inkom. Geniet die program.
Dag sê mense, ek is Johan Steenkamp. Ek is van Case uit Namibië, deel van die MZ groep Oudtshoorn. Ons is vandag hier by Oudtshoorn Wildsfees en dit is 'n lieflike dag hierso. Ek het vandag so 'n paar goedetjies gebring. Ek het hierso tans die 2.5 voermenger. Funksie wat hy het is 'n 2.5. Hy het 'n selfveder in, gooi self uit. Hy kom uit met 'n skaal. Hy sny sy bale self op. So al wat die boer doen, hy het nie hamermeel nodig nie. Hy gooi klaar sy voer hier in, sny uit en jy gooi hom uit by die voerkraal. So dan gaan ons verder af onder toe.
Maar voordat ons daarso gaan, vertel so 'n bietjie van sy kapasiteit en hoeveel hy kan hanteer.
Sy kapasiteit is 2.5 kubieke meter wat hy kan hanteer. So as jy 'n volvoer maak en jy so 1 ton kan hanteer, hy het snylemme binnekant. Ons gaan nou net vir jou wys hoe lyk die snylemme. So dit is baie interessant hoe die ding werk. Baie eenvoudige mengertjie. So hy kom uit met sy skaal, alles wat hy het hierso. Jy kan 'n klein trekkertjie nodig hê op hom, jy het nie 'n groot trekker nodig nie. Ons begin by 'n 2.5 kubieke meter. Ek kan vir jou kry tot op 'n 20 kubieke meter. Dis 'n Vimex voermenger wat baie gewild is in Namibië. So dis 'n baie goeie koop hierdie vir jou op hierdie vandag. So dan gaan ons aangaan. Dan ons die 95 trekker wat ons het hierso. Dis 'n 95 horsepower trekker. Dit is ook op die Oesfees spesial het wat aangaan op hom. So dis baie gewilde trekker vir al die landbouboerdery. Wat ons het hierso, 'n lieflike trekker. Radka is baie smart, hy kom met Turkye uit die trekkertjie. Dan stap ons aan na hierdie 75 trekkertjie toe. Baie algemene all-rounder trekker wat ons het hierso. 75 horsepower wat ons hier het, en dan as ons agtertoe gaan ons na die klein balertjie toe. Jou klein balertjie is maar vir jou klein boere wat klein plekke wil baal. Maak 'n ronde baal, baie eenvoudige baler. Hy het nie baie issues nie. Jy werk op rowwe plekke met hom en jy kan gemaklik jou 300 tot 400 bale 'n dag doen as jy nie miskien meer kan doen nie. Klap maak agter oop. As die baalkamer vol is, maak jy oop en hy sit self sy tou om. Hy tel gras voor, tel hy self op. Baie eenvoudige balertjie.
Ek sien hy het 'n groot trekker hierso vooraan, maar wat is die kleinste trekker wat jy
Jy kan op hierdie ding 'n baie klein trekkertjie vat. Jy kan soos 'n 35 horsepower ook kan doen met hom. Hy het nie baie groot trekker nodig nie, glad nie. Regtig 'n eenvoudige balertjie, baie min krag wat jy nodig het. So
dienste en so.
die dienste gaan ons uit na die boer toe. Hierdie enetjie maak ons maar partykeer reg oor die telefoon. Ek en die boer as ons ver uit mekaar het. So nie ry ek na hom toe. Gee hom training vir die dag en 'n lekker koppie koffie en dan gaan ons aan met die baaldery. So dis baie lieflik. Dan gaan ons verder aan hier agter. OK, start ons die trekkertjie. Dan die baaldertjie insit, die baalder kan bietjie ou werk. As jy mekaar gebaal het, maak hom agter oop en die baal val agteruit. So as jy klaar is, maak hom net toe. En daar is die leukie, dan gaan we aan met die volgende vraagie. So dan is jy mekaar gebaal. Dit is die hele baalprosessie, dit is baie vinnig gewees. Net baie vinnig. Vandag se mense, ons gaan gou die voermenger gou 'n bietjie hardloop. Gooi die trekker op start. Voermenger se PTO insit. Wat jy nou hier so doen, jy kan gou agterop kom kyk gou. Jy sit jou voer hier in. Jy sit jou voer hier in die grasbale sit jy in. En nou gooi jy jou klaar. Hy gooi die voer vir jou klaar in die bak. Plaas gooi hom terug. OK. Dan kan jy opklim. Dan kan jy die lemme kyk. Hy wil aan die binnekant die voer val en hy sny al die gras net vir alle stukke. So dit spaar baie tyd. 15-20 minute is jou voer mengsel klaar. As jy klaar met hom, dan kan jy gaan uitgooi. Alles wat droog is, gooi jy in. Gras en lucer en alles gooi jy in. Hy sny alles klaar op vir jou. As jy dan klaar is, dan maak jy die deksel koffie oop daar langs die kant. Maak ek hier ook vir jou. En jy gooi jou voer uit. Lemme is verskriklik skerp, so jy wil nie graag iemand hier in sien val nie of jou hande indruk nie, glad nie. As jy klaar is, maak jy hom weer toe. En jy begin die volgende mengsel weer. Dan gaan jy aan met hom. So dit is die hele storie van die voermenger. Toe gaan. Dan het ons 'n interessante blou trekkertjie hierso. Ons noem hom die Mahindra koutrekker. Dit is 'n gewone trekker, net baie klein. Hy het hydraulics op alles. Af jou groenteboer, hy het 'n routewyter, bewerk jou grond en tweewiel dryftrekker. 3.9 Honda enjinkie wat hy by het. Hy het sy liftarms soos 'n gewone trekker, werk hy hydraulics. Hy het 'n PTO self, hy het 'n drawbar agter. Jy sien daar staan sy trailertjie, hy kan 'n trailertjie ook sleep. Alles vir die boere op die plaas, lieflik veral vir die wingerdboere om tussen die wingerde te werk, ideaal vir dit. Bewerk die grond bitter mooi.
Kry jy groter as die klein?
Nee, dit is hierdie is die standaard size.
Dit is hoe gesê is dit 'n brandstof?
Hy werk met petrol. Hy het 'n petrol Honda enjinkie 3.9 Honda enjinkie wat hy by het. Dan het hy 'n 6-spoed radkas vorentoe, 2-spoed reverse. Baie stadig trekker 17 km/h maximum. So jy gaan nie verongeluk nie. Hy loop fantasties vir al die perdeboere waar hulle bane moet regmaak en omploeg, ideale trekkertjie vir jou.
'n
Okay. Dis basies soos 'n quad bike hierdie ene. Hy het 'n handle, throttle hierso. Of soos 'n gewone trekker het hy 'n lever hier ook. Wat jy kan werk. Dan hier sit sy lift hier agter op en af wat jy kan werk. Wat jy kan werk hier op en af. En dan kan jy sy PTO aansit. Dis se werkende dele. Ek gaan 'n bietjie stof maak. Dit baie min stof maak. Ja, dis basies al wat ons het van die trekkertjie. So ek sê groentebewerking fantasties. Werk baie mooi. Dan sê mense, okay, dis die storie wat ons hier sê by vandag se oesdag in Oudtshoorn. Julle kan my kontak by 081 563 4591. Dan steenkou ek is by Keis uit in Windhoek. En dis nie al wat ons het nie. Ons het nog baie meer implemente. Ons het geweldig baie. As ek nie het nie, dan kry ek dit vir julle. Maar vir hierso by die oesfees is die balertjie, die voermenger en die klein trekkertjie. Het ek 'n bietjie in detail met julle bespreek hierso hoor. So julle is welkom om my te kontak 081 563 4591. Ons het ook 'n Facebook bladsy waar ons WhatsApps ook direk met my kan kontak. Julle is welkom mense.
At the moment, it is 99% in cattle. It's very not much in sheep. Fortunately, we have not had it in pigs. But with 290 farms of cattle affected, we're going to get it in pigs soon. It's going to come. All right. The problem with a disease like foot and mouth is cattle. We can get the cattle to survive through it. We can slaughter it. We can use the meat. We're not allowed to use the bone. We're not allowed to use the offal. The problem with foot and mouth disease in pigs is you won't have a pig to slaughter. They die so quickly with the virus that there's no chance to keep them alive. There's no chance to get to use the meat in any way. Right. Now it all sounds like bad news. And the only reason why I'm telling you about the bad news in South Africa is we didn't learn our lesson. We didn't make sure that the farms are biosecure. We allowed people onto the farm. We allow people walking in without all the measures that need to be done. We don't spray vehicles. We don't protect the facility. Then when we get the disease, then we're all upset with everybody. Okay. You can imagine now there's 275,000 head of cattle that are currently positive with foot and mouth in South Africa. 275,000. Eh? That's going to be destroyed. Okay. So, is biosecurity important? I think it's more important than anything because you don't have a business. Eh? You don't have a big business if you're not making sure your biosecurity is on the right level. Right. Houston? Just so that you got, thank you for your bank card. So, let's quickly have a look at some ways that we can make sure that your farms are as protected as they are. We all know that we would like a farm where we can shower in, there's big fences up, everything is covered that the birds can't get in, but that's not realistic. Eh? It's not going to happen today. We've got to start, if we a small-scale farmer, we are going to start with the measures we can, and there's lots we can do. And lots that we can do that doesn't cost a lot of money. And let's start with those things. We get that in place, and then one develops the systems to make it better and better, more secure, more protected against disease. That's a chart of where last year, this time, the foot and mouth disease was. Now, it's right down to just before Bloemfontein, with 290 farms, spreading from one to the other. As we said, the problem with disease is when a thief comes to steal a pig from you, you can see his footprints. You can maybe catch him. climbing over your fence. What's the difference though with disease? We don't see it. We don't see it. Under my shoe, I can walk into your piggery, and I walk into yours tomorrow, and the disease is smaller than a grain of salt. You won't see it with the naked eye. And I will take that disease from you, and I will give it to you. Free, mahala, without anything. If you don't do anything to stop me from... The problem is birds, dogs, cats, rats, and those other two-legged animals, your friends that want to come and look. I hear you farming with pigs, I want to come and have a look, you know. They bring disease just like other animals. They bring disease just like animals. So we want to make sure that we can't do anything about the air. We can't do anything about migratory birds. But that's only two parts that we can't do anything. The rest we can do. Where we're getting our food from, who's visiting, who we're allowing in, when we buy in animals. And we're going to see some ways in which we can prevent those diseases from coming in. Right. So water is a big source of potential disease. Not so? So we think there's bacteria that comes in water. There's just like there's minerals that comes in water, there can be disease in water as well. So if I'm pumping water or getting water from a stream where people are maybe washing clothes in or in other way affecting that water, I can pick up from there and put it, and I can give the pigs the disease by giving them water.
When we lose your lucrative markets, there will definitely be a decline in local prices. You will be selling locally. And there is this thing, what we call supply and demand, will come into effect. I'm probably not in the place to analyze the marketing details. However, I know that if the disease comes here, those many winners that we sell to South Africa will not go anymore. South Africa is infected, but it doesn't mean that they will still get in infected animals. And that's why we don't, even in our infected zone, we don't import animals from countries that are not free. We don't import animals from Zambia, from Angola, into our protection or infected zone. So no one will import live animals from you if you don't have a status, even if they don't have a status themselves, because they don't want to add to their problems that they already have. So where are those winners? Many, many winners will be going. They will stay here. And then the supply and demand thing kicks in. Okay, but let me not go into that detail. Long movement restrictions. What does it mean? When the disease hits, everything is closed. If the disease hits in Orange River, just near Orange River there, to the northern bank of Orange River, it hits there. The whole free zone from Orange River to Oshivelo, Mangeti, or wherever, we lose our status. Momentarily, we lose our status. So what will DVS do? And the industry, what are we going to be doing? We are going to stop movements. We are going to stop auctions, selling, anything. Even if it's just movement for grazing, everything will be stopped. Because we have to establish how far the disease has gone, and so that we can see how to control it. Everything momentarily stopped. And this can happen for a long period of time before we can say, no, the disease is now here. I think these areas can move and things like that. But with that, a lot of money will be lost, and the livelihood will be affected. Okay. Lots of milk production. We were talking about why is it important if it doesn't kill. If you have a dairy farm, foot and mouth disease can make the dairy animals lose milk production, the ability to produce milk. Some literature say the milk production can actually go to zero in the affected herd. So that is why if you are a dairy farm, you don't want this disease to get in your animals, because then you will not produce milk. Of course, we will also not be allowed to milk your animals, because milk is another source of the virus. So we will not allow you to be milking animals that are infected. So you will lose that one. If it's a beef production, animals will lose condition. Maybe let's talk about a feedlot. A feedlot, you are feeding your animals. Everything that animals put in its system is what we give it to eat. So if the foot and mouth disease comes, the animals have wounds in the mouth, they will not be able to feed and they will lose weight. When the disease maybe is now finally declared over and then you're allowed to send these animals to the auction again, they are thin. You still have to spend a lot of money on food to get them to the weight that is desirable for slaughtering. And that's why no one wants to deal with this disease. Social implications, of course, there will be no weddings, there will be no funerals. Remember we said, okay, there will be funerals, but there will be no slaughter. There will be no slaughter for funerals. Because I said there will be a standstill. Movement will not be allowed. The lobola will not be paid. And the father-in-laws and mother-in-laws will not be happy and things like that. But this is a reality. In 2015, when disease came there, it was a reality. People had to come and get animals from Tsumeb and Grootfontein just to go and pay lobola, or just to go and slaughter for the wedding. But they have oxen. In Congo, they have oxen grazing in Angola. They have, but they can't slaughter them because they're not allowed to do that. Okay. So, and then another cost that we always forget is the cost to control this disease. When foot and mouth disease comes, the industry, and when I'm saying this with all honesty, the industry assists financially, technically, they assist the government to control this disease. So what we spent in 2015 when the disease came, I mean, with the outbreak hit in the north, it was over 180. Some books actually say over 220 million was spent in the protection zone, in that green area there. And that was just to protect the free zone so that the disease doesn't come here. Okay? Of course, we have to get rid of the disease so that the people there can also trade. And it costed us a lot of money. And that's why it's better to keep this disease away. All right, now let's go to the practical implementation or practical implication of the FMD contingency plan. Okay. So, first of all, what is the FMD contingency plan? The FMD contingency plan is a document, it's a national document, which outlines FMD strategies, measures that must be implemented that are aimed at preventing the disease, preparation for the outbreak, and also to control the outbreak if it comes, and then also to eliminate or eradicate the outbreak if it comes. So that document is what we call an FMD contingency plan. The measures in that national document, of course, will be led by DVS, which is a competent authority, but it is our document. We recently reviewed this contingency plan in Oshivarongo, and we were joined by industry from Midboard, people from other ministries, Ministry of Environment, Tourism, and Forestry, and other stakeholders. So it's not just a DVS document. We come together and discuss these measures that must be in this document.
Have you ever wondered why Grandma keeps her money under the mattress? And why is Angela uninsured? The Namibia Financial Inclusion Survey 2025 will help us find all the answers. From 6 October till the 4th of November 2025, the Namibia Statistics Agency teams in uniforms with tablets will visit homes across all 14 regions to learn about financial access, informal banking and saving habits. Email us at info@nsa.org.na or at 061 431 3200.
En daar het julle dit vir hierdie week se program. Ons gaan kyk by Johan Steenkamp van Case IH. Daar was nogals interessant geweest vir al daai voermasjien wat jy aan die trekker kan vasheg. En dan het ons verder geluister na Dr. Emmanuel Ikufe van die veeartsenydienste wat hy praat. Sy belangrike boodskap oor back and close wat ons moet doen hierso in Namibia. En dan ook laastens het ons gekyk verder na Duncan Stevenson, die varkkenner uit Suid-Afrika oor hoe om biosekuriteit op jou plaas te bevorder. Dankie dat jy hier was.